Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I just got back from the vacation in Mazu. Today we are going to make a mushroom or a fungus. But today is like a different way because I built this procedural mushroom right before I go to my vacation. When I get back, I kind of just don't want to redo that. Yeah, I kind of like break the thought. So in this tutorial we'll just follow through the notes. I will try to explain all the important part of this node tree so you guys can kind of figure out some of the technique and merge with your own technique to build this. And also we're using the Gumroad V1 to build this, but don't worry, I will show what's inside so you can just build that. And before we jump into that, there's something I want to talk about. One is we hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you very much everyone. And the other things is I already posted the flower animation project to my Gumroad. So you guys can go download that and try to see how the animation works. There's some people that ask me, so you can go check that. And also I will be posting more like this modifier practice. In the future I will also post more things on my Gumroad. And third, I want to talk about my Patreon page. I haven't really ready to do my Patreon, but there's people already joining, so I kind of have to do that because I want to give them something. So now I'm telling you guys there's a Patreon, and I will be post some of the more complete project file in the Patreon page for people that is joined that support me. So right now I already post the flower project that you see on the screen. That is different than the animation project. So the people who's joined my Patreon page will get that, and also V1 Plus, and also project that I'm building today, which is the mushroom, so will be also on my Patreon. But right now I'm not fully into my Patreon because the YouTube channel is keeping busy already. So if you join that, just purely you are supporting me, and I will post things time to time, nothing promised. But if you have joined, thank you very much. Let's jump into make some mushroom. So let's break down this mushroom. That's the overall look for this node tree, and it looks quite complicated. As we break down, actually it's not that difficult. Most important thing is this area. This part is for the like this kind of line, looks like this on the bottom of the mushroom. So that's quite important for this effect. So let's break down. As you see, the first step, we just drop in any kind of model that you want to grow your plant on, like a mushroom. So this time I use a wood that I download, and you just drop in, and I got a subdivision surface for more vertex to work on. The next step, I will use this separate geometry, break it like a two part. One part is the wood itself, and the other part is the leftover from the hole. So we use two noise to mask the selection, so we get these two. Why I don't just use delete geometry is because we also want to have this leftover from the holes, and we use that to join with the first step that we grew from using the V1. And by this way we got some bottom for the mushroom, so the bottom of the mushroom will not be a hole, because if it's a hole it will grow from there as well. So if you have watched my previous video, you know I make this V1 for free that you guys can download from the description. And if you didn't want to download, I can show you that's inside, have a look and can build yourself. So that's what's inside the V1, so you can get this idea. So I suggest you, if you want to follow like this step, you can go download that. So we just like give some value for this kind of like growing from the first step, that is growing outside. So that is the first step, that we just grow something from this hole using V1. So it gets something like this. And then this separate geometry with this selection for this step up and above, because after this step we don't really need this wood anymore, so it becomes something like this. So that's the base for the mushroom. So now you see there is some kind of hole, and we want to fill that, so we use joint geometry with this leftover from the holes. So it becomes like this, and we merge that, so it becomes really like a one object. And then we just keep growing and keep growing. So nothing special here, just using V1 to grow. And here also like a growing. This will be the kind of like the final growing step. Then I use some noise texture to give some wave, and everything after this step is become more interesting, more give this base form more characteristic to be more like a mushroom. So as you see from here, if we change the noise, the hole will be offset, so the mushroom will grow like a different form. So if we turn on this, like the wood, it's a separate object but it looks the same, so we can use a separate object to show as the wood that is growing from. So if I try to change this noise to mask the hole, you can see it grows differently from different places. But it all looks kind of like naturally, right? Because from here we do it like a mushroom. So it's kind of like really procedural ways to make mushroom. From here, seems become interesting. Actually, I just like I used so many time to figure this out. What we want to do is we use this extrude mesh to extrude the mushroom, so it gives some kind of grill, looks like this. It's kind of like the first step that we might do. But how can we delete like this is like kind of like cross grill, right? How can we delete from one direction? Like it took me like 2 days just to figure this out. So I try to use like use different angle, but it doesn't really work. It deletes some part, but it don't delete proper as we wish. So how can we do that? It's kind of really mind-boggling. Finally, I find a way to do that. So now we are here, and that's the result I got. That's the way I do it. So what I actually do is, I know this very edge loop is different than the rest of this, like this rest of this ring, because it's in the very edge, so it's missing one side to connect, right? So I can count the edge neighbors to definitely to delete that ring. That's I do. So I got something like this. After that, we have to push forward, just like push forward. Anything here is just a copy, so it do the same thing, because we don't have the loop function in the geometry node. So let's take a look inside. As I say, I do this to delete the first ring. Actually not delete, we just separate them. And then we got something that looks like this. So now we got this loop are different than the rest of the loop. So that's this part. So now we take that out as well. So by repeating these two steps, we can get things like this. You see, it's deleting step by step. So until the last one, we got something that looks like this. And then I just use a distance. That is kind of like from the flower tutorial that we do. That is compared to the first grow that we grow. And we compare the distance to give the offset for the extrude mesh. So that's what we got. And then I just extrude, give it some thickness, because without the thickness it will be just like one flat plane. And if the angle it's like right in front to the camera, it will be flat. It don't looks quite nice. So I give a extrude. Just give a little bit. It looks a little bit better. And then just do some merge and delete the geometry that is not necessary anymore. So that's what we got for the bottom of the mushroom. And if I change this to to be something like 4, because now I'm using 3, and if I use 4 face neighbor, it will delete the other part from the grill, the other direction. So you got something like this. It also could be something interesting, but it's not like a mushroom, so we use that. Okay, so we got this, and now we have to discuss the head of the mushroom, the top. So we separate them from here. So it's kind of like after we extrude and we separate them from the mesh that is already being extruded in the original not extrude mesh. So we separate them to be 2 parts, one making the grill, one is for the head. And we give that like a thickness as well. So now it looks like this. So that's the head of the mushroom. And then we just join them. So join them together. It becomes something like that. So that is looking like a mushroom. So that is the most important 2 parts to make a mushroom. And then I just make some water drop using this distribute point on face. And the mesh that I give is the head of the mushroom. So we don't do it from here, because here is already merged, that including the bottom, that is not going to have some water drop. So just using from the head. So use some ecosphere here and give some different noise for the size of the water drop. So that's the water drop we got. Yeah, just merge them together. So that's how it looks in the final step. Because it's in the viewport mode, so it's kind of low res. Because I use this technique that I have mentioned before, use this is viewport, so it can give a value when it's not rendering, so it looks more low res, easier to work on. And when we render, it will give some more like this subdivision, so it will, like this mushroom head will be more rounded. And we just give some material and use different selection. Yep, so that's basically how you can grow mushroom. And by this way you can also grow some sea creature, like the very big coral from the rock. So that's how you can grow things by using V1. And then the animation, so the animation you see is using this growth scale. Give the value for the growth scale from 0 to the value, and then just give each value, each step, a little offset, so it will not like all grow in the same speed, something like this. So this purple one is for this first step, and the green one is the middle step, the red one is the last step, so it grow more slowly, so all the step will not happen in the same time. It will be looks more natural. But I think this is not the most perfect way to do it, because from the animation through the end, the noise will be very jumpy because we are not animate the noise. So I think if you want to grow more perfectly, you have to animate the noise scale, something like that as well. Or instead of using the growth scale to do the animation, maybe you just use this white and out, which is now I plug in with the noise. You just do the growing offset from there. In that way, I think the grow will just follow the noise. Right now it's like the noise is kind of separate from the growth scale, so it will have this kind of jumpy result. Then we're going to talk about the dust. So if you close the mushroom, and you can see this dust that is too small, can make it bigger and easier to see. Yeah, so that's the dust. The dust is quite simple. We just use a basic cube and give quite a lot of cut. I set it to be 20 by 20 by 20, so it will allow the point to distribute, and we just offset them with noise texture, so it kind of like this. So it looks kind of like this, like a mess, right? Then we use that to instance some point, and the point will be instancing the grill that is like all this kind of squares. And then we give some rotation with some noise, and also this size to give some noise, and use a transform to offset them like in the frame. And then we use the vector math to give some animation, so dust will be like floating. So that's what we got for the mushroom and the dust. And then we got some volumetric for the fog, right? Just using the shader, this principal volume, and give a cube. And then we talk about the light. Because we have this kind of shining material for the mushroom, so I want to give the light 3 colors, so in different angle, when the mushroom turning, it will reflect different color, so it will be like more colorful. And also this kind of edge, and also from here and from here, the edge of the light will have some color ring, so it will not be like a black and white. Quite simple. You just make 3 light, and each light have little bit offset, not too much, and you just set them to be like a RGB, or this kind of pinkish red and yellow, and this kind of sky blue. or you can do it like RGB. When they cross over together, it will give like the white color of the light. When they are not actually cross over, there will be some kind of color, which is you see from here and here. Then we talk about the material for the mushroom. So the mushroom have two different material, and the most important material is for the top of the mushroom. I think the material is not much to talk about because I kind of just learned it from watching an amazing tutorial. It's from this channel, Just 3D Things. So it got like this kind of material. I kind of want to use it on my mushroom, so I just learned it from there. You guys can go watch. It's pretty good. So you just kind of like give a voronoi texture and give the color kind of mimicking the normal. You make 3 different size of the texture and you merge them together. I just feed that to the top of the mushroom. So I want to be like a diamond mushroom. Yeah, that's the goal I'm going to. And the material for the base of the mushroom is quite simple as well. It's just some most important thing is the subface for the mushroom, so it got kind of like a meaty transparency, and also this sheen, so it will kind of like a hairy look. And I give some noise for the bump, so it will got some little bit roughness and little bit like a string. Yeah, and that's basically it for the mushroom. And then we talk about the compositing. How can you get this kind of X sign for the glowing effect? Pretty simple. Basically just using this glare node in the compositing. It will give you this kind of result, and you just have to tweak this number in a certain way. And just take a look. Set the angle of set to be 45 degrees, so it will not be like a cross, it will be X. It will give you this kind of cross glare effect, and this part is kind of like I make it to be blur, and I mix this together, so it's kind of like a little bit glowing. Not only have this glare, also have this blurry glowing, more looks more dusty or in the fantasy feeling. Yeah, so that's the final result. We got this dust, we got this meaty mushroom, and we got this kind of like a very reflective material, and also this kind of the string from the mushroom, and also this like a water drop, and also this the surface that's transparent, and also this kind of you see this kind of like a light from the bottom. Mostly it's come from the sheen of the material. So if whenever it have like a very big angle from the camera, very big turn from the camera, it will be kind of like shining, and also this little bit bump. So that's basically everything in this setup, and thank you. Bye bye.